Hello and welcome again to the zoo. Okay, so I wish you could have seen me several hours ago. Maybe a little more than that. It would have been a lot better for me to make a video because I was not in the best of moods. And again, first of all, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I am a survivor. Okay, and I'm going to be filming day after day, regardless of how I may feel or how I may present myself. I'm not going to come out here um, with a false face of how high on my mountain I am, because I want to be able to sit somewhere and relate to everyday circumstances, to the circumstances you may be going through on your personal journey, on your spiritual journey, um, journey of growth, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. No me interesa. So that people can see point A to Z. It's very easy for a person who's on the top of their mountain to be a role model when everything is fine and dandy, or to be an example, because I'm no role model, believe me, an example. And honestly, I use this as my own self-advice. I've always believed that the best advice you can get is from yourself, because your truths start to come out. Uh, Maybe about a week ago, I might have posted a video that spoke about releasing fear, anger, and doubt. Today, I was faced with seeing that fear, seeing that anger, and seeing that doubt within me. And the whole point of this is to be able to release it again, which I managed to do that because I'm sitting here with a smile. Uh, but not much changed besides my state of mind. Um, so I did write a few things down because I can't remember everything. That's just a byproduct of many years of experimentation. Um, so each of us do face our darkest specters alone, especially in this town, because you're going to find it. Not many people, I don't know where you're at, where you're living at, but I do live in a very jaded town, you can say. So you do experience your dark specters by yourself, and it doesn't matter what town you live in. um, when you're going through your spiritual journey, what they call the dark night of the soul, that comes and goes. uh, it's basically moments where the hardest parts of you manifest, and they manifest in different manners. Anger, fear, and doubt can rear itself up in so many different manners through so many different circumstances. um, some of you may be caught in a situation where you're in a business deal where you just can't up and leave. Some people may be caught in a situation or in a relationship where you just can't pick up your things and just change your life from one minute to another. So you're having to relive something that makes you uncomfortable on a daily basis. And while that's happening, it's almost like you're relearning the same lesson, but in a different language. So I guess that's the best way that I can put it. Um, and regardless, none of us are perfect. On your spiritual journey, on your journey to self-awareness, enlightenment, nirvana, whatever the hell you want to call it, you're going to run into the same fears, the same doubts, the same anger, just colored in a different face, um, or in a different mask. And every time that it happens again, it's different, and it's a different lesson. Um, out of the same textbook, That's kind of how I want to frame it today. So at our highest and our lowest point, none of us are perfect. At our highest or our lowest point, none of us are perfect. Anyone can be an example, but we all are flawed. You're flawed, I'm flawed. Anybody who's on this planet is flawed. It doesn't mean that you can't learn from a flawed person. But it does mean that you can't put all your hope into a person per se. What you may learn from a person, one day that person may turn around and completely turn their back on you. That doesn't mean that what you learned from them is null and void or no longer any good. How's it helping you to move ahead? That's what matters. No one is flawless. That includes me. And a rigid approach doesn't always work. What do I mean by that? When people start their path of spirituality, it's an amazing thing. And since it's new, you have this ability to cancel out the noise of the world. You start integrating and finding new aspects about yourself that allow you to change your life quickly, immediately. You start timeline jumping, as they say, changing your reality quickly. Then there's the rebound, where certain things that you can't change overnight start to appear. They've always been there. They were always there. You just didn't pay attention to them because you were growing. So now they're rearing up and they're starting to wreak havoc on you. And the issue I ran into was this rigid state of mind where I denied all anger, I denied all fear and all doubt, kept on pushing it out. However, some of those things are coming from within us. They're not from without, as I would say. And it goes back to what I first commented: a rigid approach doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to let that fear, anger, and doubt just pass through you, succumb to it, so that you can release it. Sometimes you just can't banish anger right from the get-go. Sometimes you can't banish whatever fear you have from the get-go. Sometimes you have to face it, embrace it, succumb to it, so that you can dominate it. Then you can banish it and move on. There's a lesson to be learned in there somewhere. How I hate the word lesson. To me, the word lesson has always implied an ass whooping of some kind. And I've had to swallow that bitter pill many times. So even if you change this, this rigid approach, let's say you do change it, what worked a month ago may not work for you now. This is where balance comes in play. First of all, anything that's good takes effort. Sometimes you got to try different things. And again, that's where balance comes in play. Don't be so rigid on yourself. What you might have done a month ago may not be working now. Be open enough to know, sense, and accept that you may have to change that. Willingly change it. What's going to get you across a river? Listen, if you're trying to get across a river and you risk drowning, and you have an inflatable kayak that's half inflated, you're halfway across the river and you see a log floating by, are you going to think about saving that kayak, for later use, or are you going to let it go and grab onto that log that's floating pretty sturdy on that current. You're going to do what you need to do to get from point A to point B. It's no different. Don't ever be afraid to change your program. You know, again, what worked a month ago may not work now. Doesn't make you any less spiritual. Because the bottom line is, in your heart, in your mind, you're still the person that would help someone else. Doesn't change that fact. This isn't about being holy. It's about being aware of who you are, being aware of what you're capable of. Doesn't change the fact about who you are, because you do things differently. And if you're going to be judged because you do things differently, that's not your problem. You're simply getting across the river. And what works for one person may not work for the next. And anyone who opens their mouth quickly to criticize, don't even waste your time with them. It simply makes you human. If you got to change methods, your frame of mind, to get where you need to be, if I have to change methods, my frame of mind, to where I need to be, so be it. So be it. If you have to change your methods, so be it. Okay, in closing, because I'm not going to go on a rant here today. This is just a basic daily log. Just a thought for my people who are out there having hard days on and off. You're possibly having hard days on and off because you're growing so quickly that your third eye is acknowledging so many things. And you're having to learn these lessons in such a fast rate. That's never consolation. It kind of sucks, but that's what's happening. So here, this is something that I've thought about and I've been thinking about recently. How different my state of mind is when I am angry about something or feel anxious about something, against the state of mind I may be in the next day, where I realized, Renee, how much of that had you angry came from external forces, and how much of that was what you had going on in your head. My situation is still the same, but my mood is different. So it's just something to think about. The feeling that you have inside when you are uncomfortable, and the feeling that you have when you feel great. And it can be from one day to another, simply triggered by your exterior situation. It's something that I've been pondering on a lot these days, So anyways, you can leave your comments in the comment box if you want. You can give me a like if you want. If not, it doesn't make a difference. Right now, I know that probably nobody's watching this video, so I'm free to do and say whatever I want. This is something that I can look back on and say, hey, there you were, here you are. But I'm also doing it for the benefit of those who may be feeling the on-off cycle. You're not alone. There's lots of people in the world that are going through it. And that's why I say leave comments. If you want to communicate, you got something that's bothering you, we can talk about it. Anyways, my name's Renee. I hope to see you again. And the light is in you. You just haven't completely grasped it. You have a good night.